Alright, hello folks. Me again. I've got a guest with me tonight.
Hi, my name is Scott Allen, and you know me for my, probably don't know me, but for my horror games. How you doing?
Me and him have been friends for a long time. I hope to do more videos with him. And tonight we're actually watching a really cool classic, the original Frankenstein, on my big screen. Um, well, we're just sitting around discussing horror films. We decided, hey, let's shoot a video on this. I'm gonna turn this to sideways a little bit here. There we go. Alright, so what do you see as, like, the downward trend right now of horror films? I mean, do you feel like that they're gonna get any better or any worse or what?
Oh, they're getting shit.
Getting shit?
They're getting shit. They're getting shit on. Just taking a big old fucking dump right on them.
I mean, like I said, I'm a big fan of the original, like, Universal films. Like, I grew up watching them at an early age. I know you probably watched a lot more gorier stuff, at an earlier age. As you can see, he's donned, like, one of the greatest masks of all time, the creature from the Black Lagoon. But all seriously, man, I mean, like, I feel like horror movies are, like, really, they're not trying anymore. They're just throwing shit out there.
Well, it's because back in the day, it wasn't about gore. No one wanted to see that stuff. They didn't want to get grossed out. They wanted to be terrorized. They wanted to feel the darkness of what's coming out. Like you see Frankenstein, he's a stiff monster that's literally different body parts. They didn't want to see the gore. They wanted to see the monster. Like
Right. And also at the same time, like, he was meant to be pitied. He was not a full-on, like, he does monstrous things, but all in all, I mean, who is the real monster, the doctor or the monster?
I mean, it's called Frankenstein. It's obviously Dr. Frankenstein is the more menacing protagonist and antagonist of the movie.
I mean, the creature is not even really does monstrous things in the film until way later.
Oh yeah, like he.
And I mean, and even then, he's a child. Like, you gotta accept him as a child more than you do, like, say, oh, even though he has the brain of a criminal, he's still learning. He's been reborn.
He's basically a baby. Babies are born stupid.
True. But also, I feel like back in the day, horror films were meant to take you away. It was an escapist quality. You went to the theater to watch a film. You went to get away from the bullshit problems of your girlfriend. You went to get away from all the problems of your job.
You couldn't masturbate at your home because your mom's watching you 24/7.
This is true. But, like I said, I mean, like, it was an escapist quality. You went to forget the problems of life. And, all in all, I mean, do you honestly think, that, that horror movies can get better? Like, can we get back to our roots? Do you feel like there's a chance that they can be great again instead of just a commodity that's just put out there every fucking month, every fucking week?
Yes, there is a channel out there called Crypt TV that does just that. And I'm not giving any, like, promotional or anything. I just like it. Because it isn't all about gore and all this stuff. They actually put in the creepiness, that you felt watching a Universal Pictures black and white Frankenstein, for instance. Yeah, there's a little bit of gore here and there, but horror doesn't need all gore, man. Like, they need unexplained scares. They need, like, a very uncomfortable feeling. But if you go to the mainstream villains and all that, it'll never come back the way it used to be. because of what the fans want. The fans want this, the fans want that. That's why it's ruined.
And also, the younger generation, I mean, I'm not saying I'm old or nothing like that. I mean, I'm 31. I mean, I feel like the younger generation, I guess you could call it that, has been desensitized by violence and gore. I mean, really and truthfully, I mean, they don't care about the story anymore. They just care about the body count and how many bodies this person is killing. You know, how many kills this creature's killing or murderer or whatever he is. I mean, it's all about the blood, the gore, and anymore, and that it there's no story.
But someone in the past has made that work. You wanna know who that is?
Wes Craven?
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter, yes, of course. John Carpenter didn't really do a whole lot of gore, believe it or not. If you watch Halloween, or you watch The Fog, or Christine's got a little bit, not much, but like a lot of his films, they're not that gory. He always believed in what you don't see is scarier than what you do see, and he always kind of worked with the theater of the mind. I've always felt.
The movie I'm referencing is obviously The Thing.
The Thing is gory, but it's not necessarily gory. It's more of alien graphics.
Alright, now that's just fucking racist.
I'm just saying. I mean, like...
That's like watching Gumby and fucking... That doesn't affect me, but I bet the Play-Doh looking motherfucker feels that and is like, oh... Yeah,
like, no offense. You just reminded me of something I watched this week. I watched a review on a channel called Cinemaster Rental Review, which I'm not promoting. I mean, like, I love the series and I love what they're doing. I mean, they like to promote out just horror films, but just films in general, and I'm a big fan. So yeah, hats off to y'all. But really, I like to think that even Gumby has his bad moments, because they were reviewing a film called Freaked, not Freaks but Freaked, which was Jonathan Winter's film that kind of got took out like in less than a week of being out, and there was a point where this dude was splicing two people together or whatever with this toxic fertilizer, and basically, instead of just morphing like you would see like in something like The Fly or something, it's like this claymation thing where they merge together, and like at one point there's a point where Gumby and the little donkey, and the donkey's jerking Gumby off, and it's a joke, but anyways, getting past that. But all honesty, I'm a big fan of what's going on with as far as like the John Carpenter films, the old Universal monster films. I even love the B alien pictures from the 50s and the 60s. I even like the Hammer films from Britain. I feel like those were really good. They were more, the acting talent was better. Because you had actors who were already doing theater. And in theater, you really have to put out more. I mean, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee became household stars. And by the way, I want to point out something here watching Frankenstein. All in all, Frankenstein was not a bad creature till that freaking hunchback kept throwing torches in his face.
Because he's stupid.
Like, I mean, it was not the monster's fault. I'm a proponent that basically Fritz got what was coming to him. He got what was coming to him. That bastard needed to be hung. But anyways, all in all, I mean, I think that things like Hellboy can breach into the horror film world, But I look at it more, as the comic book world. But still, I'm a fan of Hellboy. Big fan of Hellboy. But I hated the reboot that they just did. It was not that great. And I mean, I feel like it could have been better. I mean, yeah. Like I said, sorry, but the dude from Stranger Things was not a good Hellboy. And by the way, I'm a big fan of that series, Stranger Things.
Demogorgon! Fucking love the Demogorgon. That motherfucker eats like me, man. I'll eat fucking anything. I'll eat dry pussy if that's what it is. Puffed out vagina's like a cream puff to me, man.
But I'm a big fan of Stranger Things. That's a pretty darn good series. I mean, what do you think? I mean,
the new adaptation of Stranger Things, I like it, and I like the fact that they're putting, what is it called? Minds? Fuck if I can remember, but I like the, what's it called? Oh, can't remember that either.
Basically, like suggestion or whatever, mind control, mind suggestion or whatever. In, I mean, I'm still watching this new series, I guess, or the new season. I'm a fan of the first and the second. I'm still getting into the third, and I'm hoping, like, by the end of it all, I'll get a better grasp, but I'm still a fan. But,
Lovecraftian, that's what it's called. Lovecraftian. I love those kind of creatures. They're huge, they're mysterious, sometimes you can see the little ones, but they ain't shit compared to the big ones.
And I feel like they needed to do a better reboot of X-Files.
No.
But keep Scully and Mulder as David Duchovny and the other chick.
But they're too old.
So?
They can't do half the shit they were able to do.
Okay, but I'm a big X-Files fan.
You know I am too.
Like, we've spent hours watching X-Files, I know.
Yes, we did.
And also, I feel like they need to update Kolchak the Night Stalker. That is worthy of an update, because he deserves some credit. They tried, but wrong actor. I love the actor they got to play him, but he was wrong for the role. That they did in the remake. The reboot used the guy who played Dorian Gray in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and he was not that great of a Kolchak Night Stalker. I mean, it just didn't work. I felt kind of sad about it. So, it's either near or there. Darren McGavin will always play Kolchak the Night Stalker. He will always be Kolchak the Night Stalker from the 70s. Like, I'm a big fan.
Moment of silence for the Night Stalker.
Okay, back on schedule.
Sorry, I was zoned out. What happened?
Like I said, what do you feel about them trying to reboot the Universal Monsters? And I know I'm looking at the creature from Black Lagoon right now and asking him, how does he feel about being rebooted?
I feel like I'm about to get shit on. Just like I said earlier in the video. I'm going to be sexualized. People are going to want to fuck me. People are going to want to, fuck my fishlets. I don't want to be fucked in the fish. Rule 34, man. I can't take this shit any longer. Like, don't you just go screw Ghostface. I'm a swamp creature that touches people. Yeah, I went there.
Uh-huh. But no, on a serious note, how do you really feel about them trying to reboot the Universal Monster films?
I feel like they're gonna fuck it up.
I do too. Like, I feel like very protective of the Universal Monster films. That was my childhood. I mean, those were some of the first films I remember watching.
They're gonna add gore into it. They're gonna add sex.
That's like when they did The Mummy with Tom Cruise. I freaking hated that, didn't you? That was terrible, and I love Russell Crowe, but not as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Sorry. That just didn't fit him. All honesty.
I feel...
If they were going to do that, they knew who they needed to get to do that was Benedict Cumberbatch.
Can we do a younger version or a older version of Jekyll and Hyde? Because I have somebody.
I would say if you want to do him as a younger version, that would be cool.
The guy played Harvey Dent in the new the Dark Knight series.
The Dark Knight.
I like him better.
I like him, but all honesty aside, he didn't even really do that much for me as Two-Face. I mean, I liked him, but he's way too... I saw him in Core, and he was great, but at the same time, I felt kind of like...
Well, who do we know that was a cross between the bad Two-Face and the good Two-Face? Well,
he did good. I mean, he did good. I still go for Benedict Cumberbatch because, I mean... I saw him play Khan in Star Trek Into Darkness, and I saw him play Sherlock Holmes. And I felt he can do both. And of course, you're going to bring up Doctor Strange, aren't you? You're going to bring up Doctor Strange, aren't you?
What? Because I was going to my train of thought! What was I going to suggest? Oh yeah, Tim Curry. Tim Curry for Jekyll and Hyde. Hell yeah.
He's in a wheelchair now, and like can't even like really do shit.
Well, Tim Curry, the new Jekyll and Hyde. Man in wheelchair, drinks formula. Now he can walk.
I feel sorry for Tim Curry right now. I really do. Like, I mean, all hats off. He did it, and so like that's all you got to say is. And I mean, that sums it up. He was the crazy ass clown from It.
Oh yeah, he did.
And you gotta just throw that to him. And you gotta go like, all props there. I mean,
beep beep Richie.
Beep beep Richie. Beep beep. We all float.
And you'll float too.
And you'll float too. Yeah.
Fucking yeah. Alright, that brings up another subject to what we were talking about, like the old versus the new.
Right.
New It. Chapter 2 for It is coming out. How do you feel about the first one compared to the original?
I have a theory, or I have an idea, and in all honesty, whether they accept it or not, or whether this ever gets heard, but I've heard it from several people. Why not get the kids who played the original kids in the original It, and have them play the older kid, play the adults in the part 2 of this. Because they would be the same ages. And I think that would actually be kind of cool.
Because probably they thought it was too silly and they don't be known as the It actors.
I mean, I think that would be kind of cool. I mean, like, as far as, like, aesthetic goes. I mean...
I really don't have an answer for that, because now that I think about it, why wouldn't they? And then I realized, maybe there may be some Easter eggs in there.
I mean...
Of them as, like, the crowd.
I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm a fan of the original It. I'm a fan of the new It. But, I mean, like I said... And I heard, through the grapevine, that they're supposed to be doing a remake of The Creature from the Black Lagoon. And The Invisible Man.
Okay, The Invisible Man is going to be okay.
With Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp's playing The Invisible Man.
Yes!
I heard, and I've heard this for a while, like I've heard this for a couple of years, that he was supposed to be doing The Invisible Man, but, I mean, in a way I hope Tim Burton does it, because I know if he does it, it's going to be a classic.
That's going to be gloomy as fuck.
Well, aren't these stories meant to be gloomy?
Not when you get to the criminal, the ex-criminal Invisible Man.
He was never actually a criminal. He was a scientist. Jack Griffin was just a scientist.
Oh, I meant the one who found the serum.
That is from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and that was just...
Oh, that wasn't an actual story?
No. The original story of the Invisible Man had Jack Griffin.
Oh, that I know of. Like, he went insane with the invisible serum.
Exactly. That's what they're basing this on.
I thought the thief was actually part of the story,
No.
too.
He wasn't.
Okay.
That was just a side story for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Okay, because the Invisible Man did die.
He did die, and that was the only way he returned invisibility. Visibility is when he died. But, all honesty, there's a way to get it back, and they never thought of this in any of the films, is a blood transfusion. Like, if you were to literally bleed out all of the blood that had the serum in it and put in fresh, he would regain invisibility. They never actually did that.
But would it be actually good if he survived?
In the book, he doesn't at all. He dies. Jack Griffin dies. In the book. And so, really, he was going to die to begin with. And hats off to the original Invisible Man in the original film by James Whale, Claude Rains. Claude Rains, his voice was just amazing. You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? Alright, here's a souvenir for you. And one for you. I'll show you who I am and what I am. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, that was great. I mean, he was beautiful. I mean, it was amazing. But, all honesty, I feel like them doing a remake of It and then starting to try to go into doing Universal Monsters, I think they need to go in with a little bit more respect with the Universal Monsters than they do with say anything else they remake, because I've seen remakes where it's just shitty. And I feel like the Universal Monsters are they're the forerunners, they're the beginners, they're they're the alpha, of where this began. And I feel like you need to go in with some respect when you're doing this. And I feel like if you're gonna do it, the directors they need to use are actually makeup artists. They need to get Tom Savini, or get Tom Savini involved, and get Rick Baker involved. Tom Savini and Rick Baker and people like that need to be involved in this. And John Landis and John Carpenter. Because I feel like if you get those people involved, it will come out a better film.
Fuck it, let's throw in Rob Zombie while we're at it too.
Rob Zombie, all props to Rob Zombie in a lot of ways, because he did an amazing job with House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. The first Halloween remake was okay, it was good. I didn't really care for the second one. Lords of Salem was just weird. I'm sorry, but that movie was just beyond weird. But he's an amazing artist, and I just throw him in there. He knows horror, and I'm a big fan of his.
In all honesty, the only thing Rob Zombie managed to do for me was make me feel very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. I didn't want to sit there anymore. I wanted to leave.
What, in Lords of Salem?
That, and almost, besides the Halloween franchise, take this scene, for instance, on Frankenstein, where he's meeting the kid. He would have made that look so uncomfortable, a grown dead man looking straight at a little girl. How could you imagine that would have went with Rob Zombie? I wouldn't be able to sit here and watch it.
Oh, that's the thing. There were scenes with little kids in Devil's Rejects where the kid's in the car with Captain Spaulding.
And, it was funny at first, but then...
It became very, very, unnerving.
But you couldn't help but laugh at the same time.
You were laughing at Captain Spaulding. You were never really laughing at what he did.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's the thing. I feel like Rob Zombie is a good filmmaker. He is a good artist, but I feel like he could do better.
Of course.
Um, like I said, if you got those people involved in making like remakes to a Universal horror film, I would be all for it. I would be on board with that. I mean, think about it. I mean, Tom Savini did, Friday the 13th, Dawn of the Dead. He was the makeup artist that created all that stuff. Um, Rick Baker, I mean, the list goes on. American Werewolf in London, all that stuff. I mean, case closed. I mean, I really appreciate the the artistry there. Um, I hope to see Universal Monsters return in all their glory in a respectful way. Because like I said, I grew up with those films. Those were like some of the first films I watched. I said, well,
You're gonna hate me for this. I loved Van Helsing.
actually, I'm gonna come out with this. I'm a big fan of that film too.
The action film, not the black and white.
The Hugh Jackman film.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of that.
it was awesome.
I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon too. I liked it too. There were things I felt could have been better, but not from Hugh Jackman's standpoint. I felt like Dracula could have been a little bit better. Because he didn't really intimidate me.
He wasn't supposed to.
Actually, yes, he was supposed to. Dracula was supposed to be intimidating.
He was a jackass.
He was meant to be intimidating, and also, I love what they did with the Frankenstein monster. I love the creation scene. I love the werewolf story attached to that. I mean, it was great. I'm a fan of the Universal monsters altogether. Like, I mean, they were great. I mean, I feel like when you talk about the Universal monsters, you're talking about like, almost in the context of royalty. I mean, you think about it, the Frankenstein monster, Dracula, the Mummy, the Creature. I feel like these guys were really and truthfully on par with what was going on. I mean, you got to think. I mean, back when the original Creature from the Black Lagoon was made, they literally, both the actors had to wear full-length leotards and basically have scales glued onto them to create that effect. And you got to think, without the Creature from the Black Lagoon, there would be no Predator. There would be no Alien. There would be no Fly. So, you've got to think this. And, like I said, and actually the Fly wasn't first. You were the first, and then the Fly came out in '58.
Get it right, bitch.
I'm just saying. I basically look at the Fly as I don't even count the Jeff Goldblum film as really. It's a remake, but I like the original better. But anyways, all in all, in closing thoughts here, like I said, I feel like if they're doing remakes to the Universal Monsters, they need to do better than what I've seen coming out. I'm not bitching about the Mummy films. The Mummy films were actually really good films, and you can't really count them in the context of trying to scare you. They were trying to add action into it, which I respect, and that's the same way with Van Helsing. I like what they were doing with that reboot, but then if you're going to reboot each individual Universal monster, you need to kind of lay some groundwork as far as appreciating what was on film before, than just throwing stuff out and saying, hey, we're going to revamp the whole series, and basically nothing from the original films comes through. It's all just bullshit. I feel like they need to kind of really study the subject matter more than what I've seen of certain remakes. But all in all, it was nice talking to you this evening. In closing thoughts, hope they actually do a good job of this. And Steven will try to find his mouth.
If you want to check out my channel, my name is Scorn Allen. I do a lot of horror games, and yes, I've known Rev here for a very long time. This is just my first video with him. And,
Hope to do more.
Hope to do more, yes. And, of course, you'll never see this face. Alright, if you like this video, please subscribe, share, comment, or want this view. And don't forget that bell button to see more of his videos when he uploads.
Tar Beach is on my. This will be on my uploads for my video of Tar Beach. Scorn.com. Him. See you around.
Bye!